Alright guys, so, stand here, baby. Come on. So today we're going to work further from the overhook position so that we're facing. So you guys probably want to do it like that. So, on Monday, let me get my guard please, we worked on attaining the overhook. We talked about like the classic zombie sort of stuff, and then also a lot of times if he just has his posture broken and his elbows are wide, a lot of times they just kind of peel and collect. Or, as we did in the drill today, if I could just kind of like get my hand in between, that same sort of zombie thing applied. On Monday, we worked specifically on using the collar choke to set up the triangle, right? Or using the collar choke and then using the collar choke to set up the triangle when they get done the collar choke. Today, we're going to use the overhook in a different way. Maybe predicated off the situation that I don't find the collar choke to be accessible. So sometimes you might find if they have big shoulders or just, for whatever reason, your gi is tight or maybe it's too loose and you can't get a tight grip. I'm going in, pummeled this overhook, and I just can't really make this grip meaningful, So I'm going to start thinking in a different direction. Another situation where that might happen is if he kind of shifts his weight to the left and kind of, right, like tries to bring his shoulders away from me almost, it's kind of going to be hard for me to create the tension I need to lock this choke in super tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my omoplata. Now, a lot of people have trouble with omoplatas early on, and I think there's two major reasons where they have problems. One is they find it inaccessible because they're learning this, and this is not super universal. If you have knee problems or less than flexible hips or long legs or whatever, bringing your foot to your face like this is kind of like a tall order. Another problem is, Danny, pull your arm free. Oh, damn it. This is embarrassing. Is I don't have any control. So they feel like we're in whether it be the overhook or whatever, they start doing this, the guy pulls free. Now I'm sitting here holding my foot looking like an asshole, right? This is terrible. It's a terrible situation. We can solve both of those problems because the omoplata is not doing this. I mean, it can be, right? I mean, there's always different options, but that's not the classic omoplata. This is like the rubber guardy sort of 10th planet omoplata. When I do my omoplatas, what I want is not to try to bring my foot in between Danny's face and myself. I'm trying to get Danny's face outside of my foot. And that is a very different principle. So when I get to this position, I have my overhook. I'm going to start climbing my knees up high on his shoulder and chest and his shoulder blades, right? So kind of pinching in between my knees. From here, I'm going to slide out of my overhook and kind of just clamp down on the elbow. I'm not necessarily aiming like this isn't going to control Danny forever. He starts trying to pull free, or trying to pull free. It's like I can hold him for a while, but go ahead and like give him some heat on that. Just eventually, if I don't do anything, he'll eventually get up. It's just enough control to make my next move. My next move is this. I want to bring my shoulders away. I want to make my leg a straight tree, and then I want to start working my straightened leg over his head. Okay? So you notice again, I'm not bending my knee all weird. I have as straight a leg as possible. I just want to touch my feet down until I can kind of get it in between him and I. When I do that, I'm not going to try to like bend my foot and bring it to my face. I'm going to push his face away. Danny, turn into me. Very difficult, right? Mm-hmm. From here, I have his wrist kind of loaded into my hip. I'm going to keep pushing his face away, which is going to allow me to get this bottom foot free, which is going to be really important. I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm pushing his face away to get my bottom foot free. I sit up, I hug his hip, and I swing to my omoplata position. Right? Why is it important to keep pushing the face away? It's a great question, Tom. I'm glad you asked it. Let's do it this way. So when I'm in here, what might happen, particularly because you can watch these omoplatas from a lot of different places. Let's say this foot got weird, and Danny knows the omoplata's coming. He's going to pin this leg down. Right? He's like, I'm not letting this leg free, right? Well, if I try to pull my foot to my face, and I'm trying to get out, go ahead and let me get my leg free, right? It's very hard, right? And then look all this pressure on my knee. Yeah, a lot of pressure on your knee. Now, I happen to be really flexible in the hips, so I can handle that. But man, I had my knee popped just one time in a tournament. I cut weight just doing nothing but drinking black coffee all day the day before, which I wouldn't advise. And I was super dehydrated, so I went out there and I did like a movement like this, and my knee popped on the outside. Like, it can happen just like that. So So let's say same situation though, he pins my leg down, right? So instead I'm thinking this tree-like situation, right? So now, go ahead and keep my leg there. If I keep pushing his face away, it's going to counter pressure. So you notice how it felt kind of like, Danny, like you notice how it felt kind of like as I was pushing you, that helped me pull the foot free. So let me go into the finish, and then I'll show that so that you can show it. So again, we started in the overhook. I'm here. I don't feel like the overhook's gonna work. Maybe like also actually this is a really good example. See how his chest is real low to the ground? It's might be kind of hard for me to fish this collar grip in. You guys probably want to swing around this side and see what I'm talking about. So maybe I wanted to get this collar grip, but he's kind of low. Maybe I just can't get it in there, right? So instead, I'm going to go the other direction. So I shave out. So I'm kind of elongating my body, and then my leg goes straight, and I'm just working my leg almost to just let my heel touch down. I wouldn't say this is a remarkable bend in my hip. Would you guys agree that that's not super traumatic? From there, I'm pushing. I want to just kind of get in front of his face and push his face away while I slide my bottom leg out. And then I start hipping away. Now, the major thing I have to make happen to facilitate the finish of this omoplata is I need his shoulder to touch the floor. If I try to finish this with his shoulder up high, I'll go for a bit of a finish. It's it's kind of not super tight, right? No. And he starts scrambling around and weird stuff happens, I don't want any of that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook his hip and hook it with my elbow. Actually, personally, and this is just personal preference, I like to grab this bar lapel if I can and hang back here. So instead of having to worry about cupping the hip, I kind of have that elbow controlling the hip and I get the lapel. You might find that's kind of obtuse to get to. I think that's a personal preference issue, But I'm here, I'm controlling the leg or his arm by having my leg tight, I'm controlling the hip, and I'm going to butt scoot to the side and pull him with me. And that's going to be what gets that shoulder to tip to the right? From here, guys, this is where the finish comes in. I want to get my shin over top of his elbow. I've done this so many times, I just sort of naturally do that. But let's just say, Danny, let me get you to where both knees are down, and then just kind of flatten out, if you don't mind. Yep, thank you. So a lot of times they end up in the finish here, and see if you can see it on the camera, probably not, but whatever. If you guys notice, my calf is sort of in front of his tricep, so his elbow is poking in the middle here, right? So we go into the traditional finish, I control the body, this outside foot goes behind me, sort of like a runner stance, and then I'm going to come up forward. Go ahead and tap whenever it's a finish state. Okay, see how much space that I came up off the mat there, guys? Probably what would you guys say? Probably about 5-6 inches off the mat. Check this out. Okay, so just by putting my calf over his elbow, would you say the second one was tighter, Danny?
Yep.
Right? Just by putting my calf over his elbow instead of in front. Yeah, I barely have to move. If I add in, and be very careful with this, if I add in, thinking almost like a technical stand-up, bringing this foot behind me, I almost don't have to lift at all. Yeah, it's just kind of a lean. Honestly, a lot of times I'll just stay here and just kind of drag it back. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. Your arm free. Thank you, man. You get Sean, grab you. Probably you have good shoulders. Yeah. I probably do that.
Danny, do you have good shoulders?
Yeah,
I actually don't.
Oh, no. Sorry. All right, so I get to my overhook, right? I'm here. I have this, and let's say let's say your knees are a little closer, John. You're kind of sitting on your heels, right, and your chest is low, and so I just don't find the collar choke. I mean, I guess in this instance, this gi's kind of baggy, but you have a pretty good fitting gi. It's sometimes it's not super acceptable. So from here, I'm going to shave back. I can also push the face away if I feel the need to, but honestly, a lot of times I don't think that's super necessary, but it helps. Kind of just cupping the elbow with my elbow. Tree leg, I just want my foot to touch down and just get between us. Once I get here, I'm pushing his face away while I pull this out. Switch. Hip away. He happened to fall down, but
I just did it because.
Sure, but so basically hipping away to put the shoulder down, that's pretty universal. I'm sure you've seen it before. So, this is the thing, the big detail. Instead of, if I go here and I come up, you see how much he's got loose shoulders. So it's I had to come up a lot, but if I clamp over top, and then it's I want to think about bringing my foot behind me, just like that. Yeah. that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? Excellent. Let's partner up, work it out. I'll get Jim. Why don't you work in with Ben and John, and we'll get stay with Tom and Danny. All right, let's partner up. 1, 2, 3.